My bio dad ignored me until I chose to do my father-daughter dance with my stepdad. Suddenly he decided he was father of the year. My biological father showed up 40 minutes late to my sweet 16 wearing the same wrinkled polo shirt from every forced visitation we'd ever had. He walked past the photo backdrop where my friends were posing and went straight to the open bar without even looking for me, and when my mom intercepted him, he said, "She's turning 15 or 16, right?" And she locked her jaw. I watched him order a whiskey neat while my best friend asked if that was really him because she'd never actually seen him at anything before, even though he only lived 20 minutes away. My stepdad found me watching my dad tell the bartender about his new girlfriend who was apparently way too good looking for him, and squeezed my shoulder before heading over to introduce himself. Even though they'd met twice before at graduations my dad barely stayed for. "Your mom said he might show up, so I saved him a seat at our table," my stepdad said gently when he came back, though my dad had literally turned his back mid-handshake to order another whiskey, and he'd come back alone. The DJ started announcing special dances coming up later, and my stepdad pulled out these ridiculous shiny shoes he'd bought specifically, so he wouldn't step on my dress during our father-daughter dance we'd been practicing for 6 weeks at the studio downtown. "You know I have 2 left feet, but I think I've finally got that spin move down," he said, doing this goofy demonstration that made me laugh, while across the room my dad was showing some poor trapped ant photos of his new boat instead of asking anyone about me. My cousin asked why my real dad wasn't the one dancing with me, and before I could answer, my stepdad said, "I'm just lucky enough to be the one she chose," which made me want to cry because we both knew my dad hadn't even responded to the invitation until my mom threatened to take him back to court for unpaid child support. The DJ announced it was almost time for the father-daughter dance, and my dad suddenly looked up from the bar like he'd just remembered why he was supposedly there. He called out, "Where's the birthday girl?" Like this was some casual drop-in instead of the biggest night of my teenage life. The music started playing, and my stepdad led me onto the dance floor while everyone formed a circle with their phones out, and he whispered, "You look absolutely beautiful tonight, sweetheart," which he'd been saying since he married my mom when I was 9. My real dad hadn't even said happy birthday yet, but here was my stepdad trying not to cry as we did the opening box step we'd practiced 100 times because he knew how much this moment meant to me. Halfway through the song, I heard chairs scraping and saw my dad pushing through the crowd with his face all red from alcohol and anger because he'd finally noticed what was happening. "That's supposed to be my dance," he slurred loud enough for everyone to hear, including my grandmother who covered her face in secondhand embarrassment. My stepdad kept dancing, but I felt his hand tense on my back as my dad stumbled onto the dance floor reeking of whiskey and grabbed my arm hard enough to hurt. "She's my daughter, not yours," he said, yanking me toward him while my stepdad held on, and suddenly I was being pulled between them like a wishbone at my own party. "You think you can just waltz in here with your money and your fancy party and erase me?" my dad shouted while my friends stood there filming everything, and I wanted to disappear completely. "Where were you for the last 7 birthdays?" I shot back, but he wasn't listening because he was already ranting about his rights. My stepdad let go of my hand but stayed close as my dad tried to spin me, except he was too drunk to remember that dancing required coordination and nearly knocked me into the DJ's equipment. "You don't even know how to dance," I said, pulling away, but he grabbed my wrist and left marks. "I'm your father and you'll dance with me right now or I'm leaving forever," he threatened, like that wasn't exactly what I wanted him to do. "You already left forever when I was 9, I said, and his face went purple with rage. My stepdad stepped between us and carefully removed my dad's hand from my wrist while my mom appeared with security, her face murderous. "You need to leave," my mom said, but my dad was already ranting about custody agreements and biological rights and how everyone was trying to replace him when he'd done absolutely nothing to keep his place. "I pay child support," he screamed like 3 months of payments in 2 years was father of the year material. The security guard started escorting him out while he yelled, "I'm her real father," over and over until the doors closed and the whole room was silent and staring at me. My stepdad pulled me into a tight hug as tears rolled down my cheeks. We finished our dance while everyone cheered extra loud, and when the song ended, my stepdad pulled out adoption papers and said, "Would you let me be your dad officially?" And I said yes before he even finished asking.